Take a deep breath and let go. You are now inside the forest. The air feels cooler, softer, as if it carries the calm breath of the earth itself. Forests existed 100 million years before humans, and their oldest trees once stood beside dinosaurs. These ancient giants still rise today, keeping silent memories of the planet's first winds and rains. In the Amazon, a single tree can hold 50 tons of carbon dioxide, almost like it is hugging an entire city inside its trunk. Every second, forests clean the air and create the rhythm that allows us to breathe. What feels still is actually alive, moving slowly, endlessly, even more quietly. Forests sing. Scientists discovered that trees release ultrasonic sounds, vibrations too high for our ears, a secret melody of growth and communication. It is like a hidden song that never ends, a natural lullaby that surrounds all life. You are listening to it now. Not with your ears, but with your calm. Each leaf trembles like a note. Each gust of wind carries a soft voice from root to sky. The forest is not silent. It breathes, it speaks, and it remembers. This is the most relaxing forest facts. A journey through the living science of peace. Every fact you hear is a thread of truth that ties you to nature. Forests are not just places of shade. They are systems that build the balance of life, that store time itself in rings of wood, that transform sunlight into breath. Close your eyes and imagine the light filtering through green leaves. You are lying beneath an ancient canopy, surrounded by whispers older than words. The forest welcomes you home. Like and subscribe to continue your journey with cosmic sleep science. Where the universe and nature meet in calm, forests are the living memory of Earth. Every trunk is a biological timeline, a silent archive that keeps the record of changing air, minerals, and the heartbeat of the planet itself. Within the narrow rings of wood, there are traces of ancient summers, volcanic dust, and the slow rhythm of carbon that has circled through air and life for thousands of years. When scientists studied tree rings, they read more than the age of a tree. They read the climate of forgotten centuries, the droughts, the floods, the warmth and the cold that shaped human history before it was written. Each ring is a record of balance between earth and sky, a carbon diary written in the slow language of growth. Forests are also the extension of a cosmic cycle. Long before the first tree grew from soil, its elements were formed inside stars: carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen. The atoms that make leaves green and air breathable were created by the burning hearts of ancient suns. When you walk through a forest and breathe, you are inhaling matter once born in the explosion of a star. The same atoms that form the veins of a leaf were once light in the night sky. From cosmic dust to cell walls, forests are the continuation of that transformation, turning star energy into life energy. This is why every forest breath feels both earthly and celestial, a quiet reminder that we are built from the same material as the universe. The biosphere and its forests act as the biological regulators of the planet. Trees absorb carbon dioxide, release oxygen, and cool the air through the evaporation of water from their leaves. Together, forests create more than 28% of the oxygen that fills the atmosphere. Their vast canopies influence temperature, humidity, and even the motion of clouds. Satellite data reveal that large forest regions shape the circulation of air in the troposphere, guiding the direction of wind and rainfall across continents. What happens inside a single forest can ripple through the global climate system. When a tree drinks from the soil, it releases vapor that may later fall as rain thousands of kilometers away. Forests are not local ecosystems. They are the lungs and veins of the earth. Neuroscience has discovered what poets and travelers have always felt. The forest changes the human mind. Sound waves in the forest, the movement of leaves, and the filtered light through the canopy can reduce heart rate and calm neural activity. Studies have shown that after only 30 minutes of quiet time in a forest, the level of cortisol, the stress hormone, decreases significantly. This is called the forest effect. The rhythm of the forest aligns with the alpha waves of the brain, creating a deep relaxation similar to meditation. The scent of pine and soil triggers ancient parts of the nervous system that associate safety and grounding. When people practice forest bathing, they are not performing a ritual. They are returning to a natural equilibrium that has existed since humans first walked among trees. Beneath the forest floor lies a network even more complex than what we see above. Thin filaments of fungi called mycorrhiza connect the roots of trees into a vast underground web. Through this network, trees exchange nutrients, information, and even warning signals. When one tree is attacked by insects or suffers from drought, electrical impulses and chemical messages travel through the fungal threads to alert neighboring trees. The forest behaves like a living organism with shared intelligence, a kind of non-human neural system that maintains balance and cooperation. Scientists have measured microcurrents moving between roots, showing that forests communicate through bioelectric language. What appears as silence on the surface is, below ground, a continuous conversation of life. From a cosmic perspective, forests are the organized expression of starlight. They are how solar energy becomes structured, stored, and self-sustaining. When sunlight touches a leaf, photons are captured and converted into sugar, the pure energy that powers every living thing on Earth. Forests are therefore solar engines, recycling the energy of stars into the architecture of life. In the language of physics, forests are complex systems that lower entropy, bringing order to the random flow of cosmic energy. In the language of peace, they are the calm translation of light into breath. Every blade of grass, every green cell, is a silent act of turning chaos into harmony. Yet this balance is fragile. When forests are lost, the reflective property of the planet's surface, called albedo, changes. Darker ground absorbs more heat, shifting the circulation of air and moisture. Climate models show that losing only 20% of tropical forest area could destabilize the entire carbon cycle. With fewer trees to absorb carbon dioxide, global temperatures rise faster, leading to stronger storms and drier lands. The forest system holds a threshold, and once crossed, it could trigger a cascade of irreversible changes. Protecting forests is not only about preserving beauty, it is about maintaining the physical equilibrium that makes life possible. The lessons of forests reach beyond Earth. Space scientists and biologists are now studying how the self-regulating systems of forests can be replicated for human life on other planets. NASA has used the forest cycle of photosynthesis and water exchange as a model for closed ecological habitats. These biosphere modules are designed to recycle air and water, just like a forest does naturally. The dream of a forest on Mars is not only poetic but technical. It is the idea that the principles of Earth's ecology can be transplanted to sustain life where there was none. Forests, in this sense, are blueprints of survival, biological machines that show how the universe can organize chaos into continuity. In the end, the forest is a mirror of the universe. Both are expanding systems that reach outward, carrying energy into new forms. As the universe spreads its galaxies into the dark, forests spread their roots and branches into space and light. Each rustle of leaves echoes the same physical laws that move the stars. When you listen to the sound of wind through trees, you are hearing a faint reminder of the energy that once lit the first suns. The forest does not separate us from the cosmos. It connects us to it. It reminds us that life is not an accident of matter, but the ongoing music of transformation. Forests teach us how the universe becomes gentle. They show that strength can be silent, And that order can grow from light. They stand between soil and sky, between the past and the possible, carrying the wisdom of both. When you stand beneath their branches, you are standing within a living bridge between the earth and the stars. The science is vast, but the feeling is simple. The forest breathes, and so do you. This is the rhythm that has guided life for millions of years. Stay with it, breathe with it, and let the calm of the forest remind you of the wider calm of the universe. Like and subscribe to Cosmic Sleep Science to continue this quiet exploration of life, light, and the stars that made us. Beneath the surface of the forest, beyond the roots and stones, there is a world of silent connection. The mycorrhizal network stretches through the soil like the hidden nerves of the earth. Thin filaments of fungi form threads that bind one tree to another, carrying signals of warning, nourishment, and cooperation. When sunlight fades and storms arrive, trees whisper through these threads, sharing carbon and water to keep the balance of the forest alive. Scientists call it the wood wide web, but it is older than language and technology. It is a memory that breathes through soil, an ancient design of mutual care. Every pulse of this network is a quiet act of communication, invisible to the eye but vital to life. It teaches that survival is not a solitary act, but a shared intelligence, a collaboration written in root and fungus. Within this hidden network, a great exchange happens every second. Trees offer sugar from their leaves to the fungi, and in return, they receive minerals drawn from deep rock and clay. The system is so vast that a single teaspoon of forest soil can contain miles of fungal threads. Under old oaks and birches, scientists have traced signals traveling between trees hundreds of meters apart, carrying the message that danger is near or that new light has reached the canopy. The forest does not compete blindly. It adapts through cooperation. Even the fallen logs that seem lifeless are still part of this circuit, feeding new roots and young sprouts with the last of their stored energy. The intelligence below our feet is both humble and extraordinary, a slow dialogue that has continued for hundreds of millions of years. In this underworld of roots, there is no sound yet. There is constant motion. Microscopic electric pulses flow through cell walls like a soft current. Each signal is delicate, but together they form a living pattern of resilience. The fungi serve as translators, turning chemical language into biological response. Through them, trees sense drought before it reaches their leaves. They know when neighbors are weak, and sometimes they share resources to keep them alive. When one tree dies, its remaining energy is released into the network, redistributed among others. Life in the forest moves in circles, not in lines, and death itself becomes part of the conversation. The hidden intelligence of the forest is not cold logic. It is an ecology of empathy shaped by time. This network also carries the foundation for the forest's emotional effect on humans. When we walk through a forest, the air we breathe, the rhythm of sound, and even the unseen exchange beneath the soil, all influence our physiology. Studies have shown that simply being surrounded by trees can lower cortisol levels, reduce blood pressure, and restore cognitive clarity. In Japan, this practice is called Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing. It is not a spiritual metaphor, but a biological reality. Phytoncides released by trees interact with our nervous system, slowing heart rate and stabilizing mood. The same molecules that trees use to protect themselves from insects and bacteria become gentle medicine for the human body. Forest air is cleaner, but more importantly, it carries information that calms the mind. Neuroscientists have measured the brain's response during time in nature and found that alpha wave activity increases. This means the brain moves from alertness into deep relaxation. The forest provides a natural balance between stimulation and stillness. The gentle movement of leaves, the rhythmic sound of wind, and the play of light through the canopy synchronize with the internal patterns of the brain. It is as if the forest and the human mind share the same frequency. People often describe the feeling as being reconnected, but in truth, the connection never disappeared. We are built from the same elements, and the forest reminds us of that shared origin. When stress dissolves, when breathing slows, the body returns to its natural rhythm, and the mind feels as though it has come home. From this physical and biological connection arises the cultural soul of forests. Across civilizations, trees have been symbols of life, wisdom, and renewal. Ancient myths describe the world tree as the pillar of existence, its roots in the underworld and its branches touching the heavens. In Norse mythology, it was called Yggdrasil, the great ash that held the cosmos together. In Hindu philosophy, the cosmic fig tree connected earth and sky. Indigenous traditions across continents spoke of forests as ancestors, living archives of memory. These stories were not primitive beliefs. They were early forms of ecological knowledge expressed through art and faith. Humanity has always seen in the forest a reflection of its own consciousness, both rooted and reaching. Even in modern times, culture continues to draw wisdom from trees. Poets, painters, and philosophers have turned to forests for understanding and calm. The sound of wind in leaves has inspired music, architecture, and meditation. In every culture, to sit under a tree means to listen. From the Buddha meditating beneath the Bodhi tree to Thoreau writing beside Walden Pond, forests have been classrooms of silence. They teach patience, stillness, and humility before complexity. They remind us that knowledge does not always come through speed or struggle, but through listening. The forest's way of learning is slow observation, and it mirrors the deep rhythms of the cosmos itself. Forests also shape our collective imagination about time. They live longer than nations, outlasting our wars and cities. A single cedar can live for more than 1,000 years, carrying the memory of climates long gone. Standing near such a tree is like touching time itself. The forest shows us that history is not only human, it is planetary. The same sun that shines on you has passed through the same canopy for centuries. The cultural soul of the forest is the recognition that we are temporary visitors in a much older story. When people feel peace in nature, it is because they sense the continuity that surrounds them. In that awareness, the noise of human life becomes smaller, and the mind expands. From the roots of hidden intelligence and the stories of culture, the forest rises into the rhythm of light. Every day, sunlight travels 93 million miles to reach the surface of the earth. And in the forest it transforms. When light meets leaf, it becomes life. Through photosynthesis, trees convert photons into energy, turning the language of stars into the pulse of green. This process is simple yet profound, because it links cosmic physics to biological existence. The same laws that govern nuclear fusion inside the sun now power the growth of ferns and mosses. Every patch of light on a forest floor is a silent transaction between star and soil. The rhythm of light in a forest is not constant. It breathes. Morning light arrives soft and golden, filtered through mist that rises like the planet's own breath. Noon brings a brighter pulse, and each leaf tilts to balance heat and energy. As evening falls, the forest glows with a gentle blue hue, and shadows become music. Even after the sun disappears, the energy continues to flow through cells and roots. The cycle of light becomes the cycle of calm, and every living thing within the forest moves in harmony with it. Scientists call this circadian rhythm, but within the forest, it feels like the heartbeat of the earth. Dew collects on leaves at dawn, tiny mirrors that reflect the entire sky. When light passes through them, it scatters into a million points of shimmer. creating what can only be called the forest's symphony of light. Each drop vibrates with warmth. Each ray touches soil that gives back moisture to the air. The rhythm of photosynthesis and evaporation becomes the breath of the planet. Without forests, this balance would fade, and the air would lose its pulse. Every gust of wind, every glimmer of sun through leaves, is part of a continuous exchange between energy and matter, between the earth and the cosmos. In this harmony of light, water, and air, the forest reveals the most elegant truth of science. Life is not separate from physics or chemistry. It is their natural extension. The photons that once traveled from the core of the sun now live within the sugar of a leaf. The molecules of water that circle through mist and rain have passed through countless clouds and lungs. To sit in a forest is to witness the recycling of stars into breath. It is both physical and spiritual, measurable and immeasurable. The rhythm of light in the forest is the same rhythm that built galaxies, slowed down to a pace we can feel. When you look at a forest from space, it appears as a deep green pulse along the surface of the planet. It is the visible sign of Earth's metabolism, the zone where sunlight becomes life. The forest, in that sense, is not just part of Earth. It is part of the universe's ongoing experiment in complexity. From the mycorrhizal network beneath your feet to the cosmic rays that feed its growth, the forest embodies the unity of matter and consciousness. It is a reminder that every form of order, from roots to stars, emerges from connection. And so the journey through the forest is the journey through everything that made us. The hidden intelligence beneath the soil teaches cooperation. The cultural soul within our stories teaches reflection. The rhythm of light above teaches transformation. Together they create the complete language of life. The forest does not speak with words, yet it tells us everything we need to know. It says that life endures through connection, that wisdom comes from stillness, and that the energy of stars continues to live within every leaf and breath. This is the harmony that holds the planet together, the invisible song that turns matter into meaning. When you walk through a forest, you are walking through the history of the universe. Each sound, each scent, each flicker of light carries the story of creation, written in a language older than speech. The forest is alive with the same physics that move the galaxies, yet it hums at a slower tempo, the tempo of calm. As you breathe in, you take in the exhalation of trees. As you breathe out, you return your part of the cycle. The rhythm is endless. In that rhythm, science becomes serenity, facts become music, knowledge becomes rest. And as the light fades, the forest continues to breathe, holding within it the memory of stars. This is the living bridge between matter and meaning, between silence and sound, between Earth and the cosmos. Stay with this calm. Let it remind you that everything is connected. Like and subscribe to Cosmic Sleep Science to keep traveling through the quiet intelligence of nature and the eternal rhythm of light. Forests are the deep lungs of Earth, quiet yet powerful, breathing in carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen with every sunrise. They hold nearly 80% of the planet's carbon, storing it within trunks, roots, and soils. This vast reservoir of life stabilizes the delicate chemistry of the atmosphere. When a forest thrives, the air cools, clouds gather, and the rhythm of rain begins its cycle once again. When the trees fall, the balance shifts, and a chain reaction ripples through the climate system. Scientists describe this as a feedback loop, yet in truth, it is the living heartbeat of the planet itself. Every tree functions as a timekeeper of climate. Inside each ring of wood, there are silent stories written in carbon and oxygen, capturing the patterns of droughts, volcanic winters, and distant sunlight. Paleoclimatologists study these rings like pages of an ancient diary, revealing that forests have recorded the planet's changing moods for thousands of years. The chemistry inside the oldest trees still whispers of air once touched by mammoths and ice age winds. Through them, the Earth remembers. Forests do more than absorb carbon. They regulate global rainfall by releasing vapor that rises into the sky, forming clouds and guiding wind currents. This invisible breath links continents together. A molecule of water evaporating from an Amazon leaf may later fall as snow over the Himalayas. Satellite models show that as forests expand, they shift the patterns of atmospheric pressure, altering storm routes and even jet streams. It is a reminder that the air we breathe today is not only local. It is shared, a planetary exchange sustained by trees. When the forest shrinks, the planet brightens. The reflective power of bare soil, known as albedo, changes how sunlight is distributed across Earth. Less canopy means more light is bounced back into space, disrupting energy flow and weather cycles. Scientists estimate that losing just 20% of tropical forest cover could destabilize the global carbon equilibrium, triggering more extreme droughts, floods, and unpredictable seasons. What seems like a local deforestation is, in truth, a planetary disturbance. In the quiet logic of ecology, forests are not isolated. They form an interconnected feedback network between soil, air, and ocean. The plankton in the sea respond to changes in the wind patterns created by forest evaporation. Clouds seeded by forest aerosols drift across the world, cooling or warming distant lands. When a forest breathes, the planet breathes. And when that rhythm falters, the entire biosphere feels it. From a cultural view, ancient civilizations knew forests as the pulse of life. The Druids of Europe, the shamans of the Amazon, and the monks of Asia all described trees as bridges between heaven and earth. Today, as scientists decode satellite data and carbon flux, they rediscover the same truth written in myth. The forest remains the world's most patient scientist, measuring time through growth and decay, guiding the stability of everything that lives. Modern technology has begun to listen to forests in ways once thought impossible. Orbiting high above the clouds, satellites equipped with multispectral sensors observe subtle changes in leaf color, moisture, and canopy density. These instruments detect shifts invisible to the human eye, revealing how forests grow, recover, or decline. Artificial intelligence now processes these signals, translating them into real-time maps that show the living pulse of the planet. LiDAR systems send beams of light down through the canopy, measuring every branch and leaf in three-dimensional detail. The data reveals how much biomass is stored in every hectare, how much water is held within each layer, and how healthy the forest truly is. From these maps, scientists can calculate the exact amount of carbon locked away and predict how much could return to the air if deforestation continues. Each image captured is a heartbeat, a record of how the forest changes with light and season. But satellites are not the only observers. On the ground, small acoustic sensors now record the soundscape of the forest. They listen for the low frequencies that trees emit when under stress, when water is scarce or roots are damaged. These are vibrations beyond human hearing, yet they carry the signature of distress. In some protected regions, these sound sensors have already detected illegal logging before the chainsaws were even visible. The forest, once voiceless, now speaks through data and sound. These networks of sensors and satellites have turned the forest into a living system under observation, a vast organism whose every breath can be measured. From the perspective of planetary science, this marks a new era. We no longer see the forest as static scenery, but as an evolving body with its own metabolism. The combination of machine learning and ecological modeling allows scientists to track forest health in real time, to predict disease outbreaks, and even to map underground water channels. Culturally, This technological intimacy changes how humans relate to nature. The more we observe, the more we understand how alive it truly is. Forests are no longer remote, mysterious expanses. They have become companions whose heartbeat can be heard from space. The gentle hum of data flowing from thousands of sensors mirrors the ancient rhythm of wind moving through leaves. Technology, once thought to separate us from nature, now reveals our closeness to it. From an artistic view, one might imagine the earth covered by invisible stethoscopes, each tuned to the pulse of chlorophyll in rain. The satellites above do not only photograph landscapes, they listen to the respiration of the biosphere. In their silence, they record the music of life itself. This harmony of technology and ecology may be one of the most hopeful transformations of our time. It teaches that awareness, not control, is the essence of understanding. Through the lens of modern science, we have given the forest a voice, and in return, it has reminded us how fragile and precious the breath of life can be. When scientists look toward Mars or distant exoplanets, they bring with them a quiet lesson learned from forests. Every leaf, every drop of water cycling through roots and clouds, is part of a closed-loop system, a self-sustaining biosphere. NASA and the European Space Agency are studying these natural models to design artificial ecosystems that can sustain life in space. The forest is not just a landscape, it is a living algorithm for stability. At its heart lies the process of photosynthesis, a miraculous transformation of sunlight into energy. In a single second, the forests of Earth convert trillions of photons into chemical bonds, storing the power of stars in the veins of leaves. This transformation allows forests to act as energy converters, turning cosmic radiation into breathable air. From a cosmic perspective, a forest is the universe reorganizing light into life. Engineers studying closed-loop habitats for Mars colonies now use the forest as a reference. They replicate its water cycle, its oxygen renewal, its carbon regulation. Artificial ecosystems known as biosphere modules simulate the delicate exchange between plants, microbes, and atmosphere. In these controlled environments, small forests are grown under domes of glass, breathing recycled air and condensing vapor into artificial rain. It is Earth, distilled into a microcosm of self-renewal. This research shows that if humanity ever builds a home among the stars, it will carry the memory of trees. The first green leaves on another planet may not emerge from soil, but from technology inspired by forests. Every future colony will need its miniature biosphere, echoing the same patterns of resilience perfected on Earth. The forest, therefore, is not just a relic of our past, but a prototype for our survival beyond the planet. From a philosophical view, this carries profound meaning. The trees we plant today may one day teach other worlds how to breathe. Our relationship with forests extends beyond ecology. It becomes cosmic. We are learning not only how to preserve the forests we have, but how to recreate their wisdom wherever life may go. And yet, even with such ambition, the lesson remains humble. The forest reminds us that life thrives through balance, not control. Every attempt to imitate nature reveals how intricate and cooperative its systems truly are. To sustain life elsewhere, we must first understand it here. Culturally, this connection reawakens something ancient. Civilizations have always imagined paradise as a garden, a green world of abundance. Perhaps that vision was prophetic. The future of humanity may depend on recreating such gardens under alien suns. In that sense, the forest is both memory and destiny, a symbol of how life, wherever it exists, will always seek light, water, and harmony. When viewed from space, Earth itself looks like a forest floating in the void, breathing through its green continents. It reminds us that the boundaries between planet and organism are thin. The forest is Earth's proof that the universe wants to live. And as we carry that knowledge outward, we continue the same pattern, turning starlight into life. One leaf at a time, the forest is not just a collection of trees. It is a cosmic conversation between light and matter, between silence and renewal. Through science, technology, and imagination, we now understand that every rustle of leaves, every whisper of rain, is part of a vast system connecting Earth to the stars. And when the night grows quiet, the forest still breathes for us all. Far beyond the forests of Earth, the dream of green life continues to echo through the silence of space. In the laboratories of NASA and the European Space Agency, scientists study the idea of artificial forests, enclosed within transparent domes that mimic the breathing rhythm of our planet. These biosphere modules are designed to recycle oxygen, purify water, and regulate temperature, creating a small world that sustains itself. Within them, light falls upon leaves grown under the same physics that governs the stars. On Mars, where the air is thin and the ground holds only whispers of ancient rivers, these tiny ecosystems may one day become the first living lungs of another world. Each artificial forest built for space is modeled after the quiet genius of Earth's own woodlands. The structure of photosynthesis, the cycle of condensation and rain, the balance between carbon and oxygen, all of it originates in the design perfected by trees. In the controlled chambers of research stations, sunlight is filtered through glass and converted into food by engineered leaves, mirroring what has happened naturally on Earth for billions of years. Through this imitation, we glimpse the deep connection between the forest and the cosmos. For both are systems that transform energy into harmony. When scientists observe the chemical composition of leaves, they find familiar elements: carbon, oxygen, nitrogen born from the hearts of ancient stars. Every breath of air we take once drifted through the universe as stardust, shaped by gravity and time before becoming part of the biosphere. The same matter that forged the galaxies now moves through the veins of trees. In this sense, the forest is not separate from the cosmos. It is the cosmos made alive. Each cell of chlorophyll is a relic of starlight, a memory of the universe choosing to organize itself into color and growth. From this perspective, the forest becomes a mirror of cosmic creation. As the universe expands outward, the forest expands downward and upward, extending its roots through soil and its branches through air. Both obey the same rule of spreading energy, turning chaos into structure, turning light into life. A forest does not only exist on a planet, it expresses the same pattern that builds galaxies: a rhythm of birth, growth, decay, and renewal. When you walk among trees, you are walking inside a reflection of the universe itself. On a cosmic scale, forests reveal how fragile and beautiful balance can be. The sunlight that fuels their photosynthesis has traveled across 93 million miles to reach a leaf, yet within moments it becomes sugar, energy, and life. This is the quiet miracle of transformation. The same process that once shaped stars into planets now shapes light into breath. The forest is a vast machine that recycles photons, turning invisible waves into the living architecture of green. If the cosmos is an ocean of radiation, the forest is the shore where light learns to rest. In the concept of time, too, the forest aligns with the universe. Both move in slow rhythms that transcend human life. A tree may live for 1,000 years, but its lineage stretches across eras of shifting continents and drifting stars. The atoms inside its trunk have existed since before the birth of the sun. To touch the bark of an old tree is to touch matter older than memory, a thread that runs from the Big Bang to the present. The forest teaches patience, the kind of time that belongs to galaxies. Imagine, for a moment, a future colony beneath the red sky of Mars. Inside a glass dome, forests breathe recycled air, and the condensation of vapor forms drops of water that fall upon artificial soil. The leaves shimmer in faint gravity, capturing sunlight reflected from the distant Earth. Here, the first breath of oxygen flows through a new world, carrying the memory of every tree that ever stood on our planet. In that moment, life completes its circle, returning the gift of air to the stars from which it once came. Philosophers often describe forests as metaphors for consciousness, for the way life organizes itself into networks of exchange and awareness. From a cosmic point of view, the same can be said of galaxies. Both are systems of communication and energy transfer, both driven by the need to expand, both filled with silent intelligence. The forest is a microcosm of the universe, and the universe is a macrocosm of the forest. When we study one, we understand the other. Culturally, this connection between the forest and the stars has long been felt. Ancient myths often spoke of the world tree, a cosmic pillar linking the heavens, earth, and the underworld. Today, science echoes that mythology through data, revealing that the chemistry of trees truly connects to the chemistry of space. The boundary between spiritual imagination and scientific observation grows thin, and in that gentle overlap, a new sense of wonder arises. As we continue to explore distant planets, we bring with us not only technology, but also the memory of forests. Every spacecraft carries traces of organic compounds. Every astronaut carries the breath of trees stored in tanks. The green world of Earth travels with us, quietly expanding its reach beyond the atmosphere. When the first seed germinates under alien sunlight, it will mark not just survival, but the continuation of a cosmic story, the universe learning to grow again in a new form. In this broader view, the forest is both ancient and eternal. It began as stardust. It evolved into life, and it may one day seed other worlds. When we inhale, we are breathing the past of stars and the future of planets. Every forest on Earth is a small version of a universal process, recycling energy and matter across space and time. The act of photosynthesis is a bridge between astrophysics and biology, between cosmic radiation and human breath. To listen to the forest is to listen to the memory of creation. The soft rhythm of leaves moving in the wind mirrors the pulse of the expanding cosmos. Both are expressions of order rising from silence, of energy becoming awareness. The forest does not end where the sky begins. It extends beyond, carried by light, by imagination, by the endless drive of life to continue. When night falls and the stars appear above the canopy, their light touches the leaves that were born from their own dust. In that quiet connection, the circle closes. The forest and the cosmos breathe together, sharing the same ancient light. Through them, we understand that life is not separate from the universe. It is the universe awakening to itself. And as you rest, breathing softly, remember that your own breath once belonged to the stars, passed through trees, and returned again to the air. You are part of that same rhythm, that same endless exchange of light and life. The forest breathes with quiet persistence, but the balance that has guided it for millennia is now under strain. Across the tropics, green expanses once endless are thinning, their rhythm disturbed by the hum of machines and the reach of roads. Scientists estimate that around 1/5 of tropical forests have already vanished, and this loss reverberates far beyond the trees themselves. When a forest falls, the Earth's lungs lose their capacity to hold carbon. The atmosphere thickens, and heat begins to linger. Light that once scattered softly through leaves now strikes bare ground, and the planet's reflective skin, its albedo, changes. This subtle shift turns into a global echo. Bending wind, redirecting clouds, and altering rain in ways that seem invisible yet touch every living being. Far from the eyes of cities, technology has become the forest's quiet ally. Deep microphones rest beneath canopies, capturing vibrations that humans cannot hear. The low hum of chainsaws, the thud of trees, the mechanical pulse of intrusion, all travel as sound before they appear as scars on the land. Through artificial intelligence, these signals are traced, analyzed, and mapped in real time, allowing rangers to reach before damage grows. Drones drift above the canopy, LiDAR beams scan invisible depths, and machine learning deciphers the language of distress written in leaves and branches. It is a paradox of our age. The same progress that once cut the forest now begins to protect it, translating silence into understanding. The consequences of deforestation ripple through air and soil alike. Carbon long stored in trunks escapes upward, forming invisible waves of warmth that stretch across oceans. Climate models reveal how these emissions alter patterns of rain, shifting the balance of monsoons and intensifying droughts elsewhere. Yet trees, even in their fall, tell stories. Inside every ring of wood lies a record of sunlight, of storm, of the quiet endurance of life. By reading these rings, scientists recover histories far beyond human memory, centuries of drought and abundance, frost and bloom. The forest becomes both a victim and an archivist, holding the memory of what balance once meant. But amid decline, there is resilience. In Japan and Scandinavia, the ancient practice of forest bathing Shinrin-yoku has found new life as therapy. Studies show that the scent of pine and the whisper of leaves lower cortisol levels, calm the nervous system, and restore mental clarity. The forest does not only store carbon, it restores human equilibrium. In hospitals, doctors now prescribe short walks among trees as treatment for anxiety and fatigue. The act of slowing down, of breathing air filtered through green, becomes both science and solace. Technology, too, has begun to emulate this natural wisdom. NASA's biosphere experiments on Mars draw directly from the logic of Earth's forests. Closed ecosystems recycle oxygen, water, and carbon dioxide in loops that mirror the planet's own living cycles. Artificial canopies of algae and engineered plants attempt to recreate what forests have always done. Turn light into life, chaos into balance. These models are more than engineering. They are lessons in humility, reflections of how dependent human survival remains on the principles written by the forest. Even in destruction, the forest teaches adaptation. Across damaged landscapes, networks of mycorrhizal fungi still pulse underground, carrying nutrients from living roots to barren soil. These fungal webs are like neural pathways, sustaining what remains and preparing the ground for return. In certain places once thought lost, regrowth begins quietly. Guided by these invisible exchanges, AI models now simulate such networks to understand how cooperation can restore broken systems, both ecological and digital. From moss to machine, the lesson is the same. Resilience comes through connection. Yet the story of modern change is not only about loss. From the Amazon to Borneo, communities now merge tradition with innovation. Solar-powered sensors monitor illegal logging. Regenerative agriculture reintroduces trees among crops, blending productivity with renewal. Forests once reduced to resources are being recognized again as systems of life complex, intelligent, and intertwined with human destiny. As the sun lowers across the canopy, the forest exhales, and so do we. Its rhythm, even when wounded, continues to guide the planet's breath. The balance of carbon and oxygen, heat and moisture, silence and song, remains the quiet foundation of our shared existence. The modern world may have distanced itself from the roots, Yet every inhale draws from the same ancient exchange. Every heartbeat echoes the slow pulse of leaves. Change has arrived, vast and undeniable. But within it lies the potential for renewal. The forest endures not through resistance but through transformation. Beneath the soil, within the code of machines, across human minds that begin to remember their place within nature, a new harmony forms. The world listens again, softly, to the forest's message, a message that says healing is still possible, that balance can return, and that the story of life, though altered, continues its quiet song. The forest is the memory of the earth, a living rhythm that never stops breathing. Every tree holds a record of seasons, storms, and sunlight, whispering stories of survival written in its rings. Beneath the ground, roots intertwine in quiet intelligence, sending signals through threads of life. It is more than wood and leaves. It is the mind of the planet, patient and vast. The forest teaches that balance is not stillness, but gentle motion. Carbon turns to air. Air feeds life, and life returns to soil. This endless cycle mirrors the motion of the stars, expanding and contracting, carrying energy from one form to another. When the forest breathes, the earth finds its rhythm again, a pulse that aligns with the heartbeat of every living being. Through science, we now hear what was once invisible. Sensors follow the shimmer of chlorophyll, satellites trace moisture and light, and the data translates into music of patterns. Yet no machine can capture the calm it gives. When sunlight filters through leaves and the air hums softly, the forest reminds us that existence does not rush. It unfolds. At night, the forest becomes a temple of sound. Wind passes through the branches like an ancient voice, and mist gathers as if the earth is exhaling. Each droplet carries the reflection of stars, a reminder that we are made of the same dust that forms both trees and galaxies. The forest and the cosmos share one breath, a rhythm that connects soil and sky. Now imagine lying beneath that canopy, the air cool, the ground steady beneath you. You breathe in what the trees release, and the forest breathes in what you give back. It is a quiet exchange that has continued for eons. As you close your eyes, you feel that the forest never ends. It only changes form in every cycle, every whisper of wind. It tells the same story of light becoming life, of life returning to light. In the end, rest within that thought. Let the rhythm of the forest guide you to sleep, calm and endless, as the voice of the earth fades gently into the night.